The Galactic Union was a coalition of the most advanced civilizations in the known universe, its influence extending across countless star systems. Among its myriad responsibilities, the Union prided itself on cataloging the galaxy's most dangerous worlds, known as Deathworlds. These planets were renowned for their extreme environments, hostile life forms, and relentless threats that pushed even the bravest explorers to their limits. For centuries, the Union scientific community believed these worlds were as unique as the species that inhabited them, each one a testament to the diversity and danger of life across the stars. Yet, as the Union expanded, sending more expeditions into uncharted regions, a pattern began to emerge, one that unsettled the minds of the most brilliant researchers. High Counselor Vilek, a seasoned and respected leader within the Union, sat in his private chamber aboard the flagship Eternal Seeker. His crimson eyes narrowed as he reviewed the latest reports from the exploration teams. Vilek's species, the Oryxians, were known for their meticulous nature and unyielding pursuit of knowledge, traits that had served him well over his long tenure. But now, for the first time in decades, he found himself unsettled. Another one? Vilek muttered to himself, his voice tinged with disbelief. The data in front of him was a third such report in as many cycles. A newly discovered death world, designation DX 73, bore striking similarities to two others identified earlier in the same sector. All three shared the same terrifying ecosystem, a dense jungle teeming with vicious predators, lethal plant life, and volatile weather patterns that seem engineered to destroy. What could it mean? Vilek wondered aloud, his thoughts racing. The odds of these worlds developing such identical conditions independently were astronomical. Yet the evidence was irrefutable. Vilek's mind began to churn with the implications, but he knew he needed more than just data. He needed insight, and there was only one being in the Union who might have the answers. Vilek activated his communicator, sending a direct request to Dr. Myra Lorne, a human xenoecologist who had made a name for herself by studying the most inhospitable planets known to the Union. Despite her youth by human standards, Myra's expertise was unrivaled, and her unorthodox theories often led to groundbreaking discoveries. Myra, Vilek began once the connection was established, his tone betraying the urgency he felt. I need your assessment on a matter of great importance. I'm sending you data from the latest Death World surveys. Tell me, do you see what I see? Dr. Lauren's image appeared on the holographic display, her brow furrowed as she quickly scanned the information. The silence stretched between them, filled only by the soft hum of the ship's engines. Finally, Myra looked up, her eyes wide with recognition. Counselor, these worlds, they're almost exact replicas of one another, she said, her voice steady despite the shock. The chances of this happening naturally are, well, they're practically non-existent. Vilek leaned forward, his gaze intense. Then what are we looking at, Dr. Lorne? Is it some kind of unknown cosmic phenomenon, or something else entirely? Myra hesitated, choosing her words carefully. It's difficult to say without more data, but if I had to make an educated guess, I'd say these planets didn't just evolve this way on their own. Someone or something might have engineered them, possibly using a common blueprint. Vilek's eyes narrowed further. A blueprint? But that would mean Earth, Counselor. Myra interrupted, her tone decisive. Earth is the only planet we know of with an environment capable of producing such lethal life forms. It's possible these death worlds are copies, replications of Earth's most hostile environments. The idea seemed preposterous, yet Vilek could not dismiss it. Earth was already infamous within the Union as a planet that had forged one of the most resilient and unpredictable species ever encountered. Humanity. Could it be that Earth's legacy extended beyond its native solar system, influencing worlds across the galaxy? If you're correct, Dr. Lorne, this could change everything we know about the Death Worlds, Vilek said, his mind racing through the implications. But we'll need proof, something tangible to convince the Council. Myra nodded, her expression resolute. I'll need access to the Union's deepest archives, and I'll need a team. If there's any record of such a project, we'll find it. But, Counselor, if we're right, this could be the discovery of a lifetime, or a threat unlike anything we've ever faced. Vilek's decision was immediate. You'll have everything you need, Dr. Lorne. The Union must know the truth, no matter the cost. As the communication ended, Vilek stared out at the stars beyond the viewport, his thoughts clouded with uncertainty. The revelation of Earth's potential role in the creation of these death worlds could either elevate humanity to a revered position within the Union, or mark them as a species to be feared and controlled. One thing was certain. The discovery was only the beginning of a much larger mystery, and as the Eternal Seeker moved through the void, Vilek couldn't shake the feeling that this mystery would change the fate of the entire galaxy. Dr. Myra Lorne stood at the heart of the Union's most secure research facility, a sprawling complex buried deep within the ice-covered moon of Virex 9. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation as her team, a hand-picked group of scientists and historians from across the galaxy, poured over the ancient records and data streams that had been retrieved from the Union's deepest archives. The enormity of their task hung over them like a shadow, but Myra was undeterred. She knew they were on the brink of a discovery that could reshape the galaxy's understanding of its own history. The doors to the research chamber hissed open, and High Counselor Vilek entered, his expression unreadable. Myra looked up from the hollow display, her heart skipping a beat. Vilek's presence here signaled the gravity of their findings, or the lack thereof. Counselor, Myra greeted him, her voice steady despite the nervous energy that rippled through the room. We've compiled the data from over 100 classified sources, some of which haven't been accessed in millennia. What we've found is troubling. Vilek gestured for her to continue, his gaze sharp. Show me. Myra nodded and activated the central console. The chamber's walls lit up with holographic projections, displaying star maps, planetary schematics, and ancient texts in languages long forgotten by most. At the center of it all was Earth, its familiar blue and green hues standing out starkly against the myriad death worlds surrounding it. We've discovered records of an ancient civilization, predating even the earliest members of the Galactic Union. Myra began, her voice carrying the weight of the revelation. This civilization, which we're calling the progenitors, possessed technology far beyond anything we currently understand. According to these records, the progenitors had the ability to terraform planets on a massive scale, and they did so using Earth as their template. Vilek's eyes narrowed, his mind racing to grasp the implications. Are you saying that the progenitors deliberately replicated Earth's environment across multiple planets? But why? For what purpose? Myra hesitated, her expression troubled. That's the part we're still trying to piece together. The records are fragmented, and much of the data has been corrupted over time. But there's a recurring theme in what we've recovered, a fixation on Earth's ability to foster life under extreme conditions. It seems the progenitors believed that by recreating Earth's environment, they could breed stronger, more resilient species across the galaxy. Vilek's expression darkened as he processed the information. And these death worlds, they were never meant to be inhabitable by ordinary species. They were intended as crucibles, testing grounds for life forms that could survive, even thrive, in the harshest conditions imaginable. Myra nodded, her gaze steady. Exactly, and humanity is the result of that crucible. Earth was the original death world, and we, humans, are the ultimate survivors of its trials. The room fell silent as the weight of her words settled over them. The implications were staggering. If humanity had indeed been forged in the fires of the galaxy's most dangerous environment, then the entire Union's perception of humans would have to change. No longer could they be seen as mere participants in the galactic community. They were the progeny of a cosmic experiment designed to create the ultimate survivors. But there's more, Myra continued, her voice dropping to a near whisper. In the deepest archives, we found references to a final project, something the progenitors were working on before their civilization vanished. They called it Project Genesis. According to the fragments we've recovered, it was their most ambitious undertaking. The creation of a new type of life form, one that could dominate even the Deathworlds they had crafted. Vilek's breath caught in his throat. And did they succeed? Myra shook her head, her expression grim. We don't know. The records end abruptly, as if the progenitors disappeared overnight. But there's something else, a warning, encoded in the final entries. It's unclear what it means, but it mentions the return of the Forge. We're still deciphering the details, but whatever it is, it's tied directly to Earth and to humanity. Vilek exhaled slowly, his mind churning with the implications. If the progenitors were planning to return, or if they left something behind, it could change everything. The Union must be informed, but we have to be careful. This knowledge could either unite us or tear us apart. Myra nodded, her determination renewed. I agree. We need to understand what we're dealing with before we reveal anything to the wider galaxy. If this Forge is a threat, we need to be ready. Vilek turned to leave, his mind already formulating the next steps. But as he reached the door, he paused, glancing back at Myra. Dr. Lorne, you've done exceptional work, but be careful. The deeper we dig, the more dangerous this becomes. I fear we're awakening something far greater than we can imagine. As Vilek departed, the chamber returned to its quiet hum, but the tension lingered. Myra stood silently, staring at the holographic image of Earth, her mind racing. The truth was now within their grasp, but with it came questions that could shake the foundations of the galaxy itself. And somewhere in the depths of space, the Forge awaited, the Union's grand chamber, a vast hall adorned with the banners of countless star systems, buzzed with a nervous energy. High Counselor Vilek stood at the center, his gaze fixed on the delegates gathered before him. The air was thick with anticipation, as word of the recent discoveries had spread through the upper echelons of the Union. Now, the moment of truth had arrived. To Vilek's right, Dr. Myra Lorne stood resolute, the weight of their findings heavy on her shoulders. The truth about Earth, the progenitors, and the creation of the Deathworlds had been revealed to the Council's most trusted members. But how that truth would be received was another matter entirely. Vilek raised his hand, and the chamber fell silent. Esteemed members of the Galactic Union, we stand on the precipice of a revelation that could alter the course of history. The evidence presented by Dr. Lorne and her team is irrefutable. Earth is not merely one of many Deathworlds. It is the original, the blueprint upon which all others were modeled. The progenitors, in their quest to engineer the perfect survivor, used Earth as their template, creating worlds designed to forge life in the harshest conditions imaginable. A murmur swept through the chamber as the delegates processed Vilek's words. Some looked shocked, others intrigued, but a few were expressions of fear and suspicion. Counselor Vilek, a delegate from the Tharkan Empire, interjected, his tone sharp. If what you say is true, then humanity, those who emerge from this original Deathworld, must be viewed with caution. They are not merely participants in our union. They are the products of a design that may give them an inherent advantage over every other species. What assurance do we have that they will not use this knowledge to dominate the rest of us? Vilek met the delegate's gaze, unflinching. It is precisely because of humanity's unique origin that we must approach this revelation with care. But let us not forget that humans have been a part of this union for centuries, contributing to our collective knowledge, culture, and defense. They have shown no inclination toward domination, only survival. The Tharkan delegate was not convinced. Survival, yes. But what happens when they realize their potential? What happens when they decide that the galaxy is theirs to shape, just as the progenitors shaped Earth and the Deathworlds? Myra stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. With respect, delegate, humanity has always known the value of cooperation. We have faced extinction more times than we can count, by our own hand and by forces beyond our control. If anything, our history teaches us that survival is not about dominance, but about resilience, adaptability, and, most importantly, unity. We have no interest in ruling the galaxy. Our interest lies in ensuring that it remains a place where all species can thrive. A ripple of agreement moved through the chamber, but the undercurrent of fear remained. Vilek knew that the path ahead was fraught with danger. The knowledge of Earth's true significance could either bind the Union closer together or drive a wedge between its members, leading to mistrust and conflict. The Forge, Vilek said, bringing the focus back to the most pressing issue, remains an enigma. If the progenitors left behind a means of reigniting their work, or worse, of continuing it, then we must be prepared. This is not just a matter for humanity. It concerns every species in the Union. We must face it together as one. The chamber buzzed with tension as the delegates whispered among themselves. The specter of the progenitors loomed large in their minds, a reminder that the galaxy's past could still reach out to shape its future. A delegate from the Wyran Consortium, a species known for their wisdom and diplomacy, rose to speak. Counselor Vilek, Dr. Lorne, we acknowledge the gravity of what you have presented. The Wyran Consortium stands with Earth. If the Forge is a threat, then it is a threat to us all. We must confront it as a united front. Slowly, other delegates began to voice their support, their initial fears giving way to a sense of solidarity. But not all were swayed. The Tharkan delegate remained silent, his eyes narrowing as he observed the growing consensus. Vilek caught his gaze, recognizing the seeds of dissent. He knew that not everyone would be so easily convinced, and that the true test would come not in words, but in actions. Vilek raised his voice, cutting through the growing din. Then let it be known. The Galactic Union will form a special task force, comprising representatives from all member species, to investigate the Forge and ensure that it poses no threat to our existence. Humanity will be a crucial part of this effort, not because they are the progeny of the original Deathworld, but because they are our allies. The chamber quieted as the delegates processed this final decree. Myra felt a sense of relief, tempered by the knowledge that their work was far from over. The Union had chosen the path of unity, but the road ahead was uncertain. As the session adjourned, Vilek turned to Myra, his expression weary but resolute. This is only the beginning, Dr. Lorne. The Forge, the progenitors, the fears within the Union. These are challenges we must face together. But today, we've taken the first step. Myra nodded, her resolve firm. We'll be ready, Counselor. Whatever comes next, we'll face it as we always have, together. As they left the chamber, the weight of the galaxy's future on their shoulders, they knew that Earth's influence was no longer a secret. It was a beacon, one that would guide them through the trials to come, or draw the darkness closer.